Malcolm Gladwell has a real talent for spotting curious findings in psychology or the social sciences. But more than that, he writes incredibly Now, mostly what he does in this book is he turns our general thinking that success is due to an individual's kind of effort and all the attributes of an individual, and he turns this upside down and says, actually, you can have all that, but you won't necessarily be successful unless you are in it's the right time for you, that you're in the right place, you have the right resources available to you. And these are decisive factors for your success or failure, which I thought was incredibly valid. And he gives great examples in actually explaining this. He talks about Canadian hockey players who are typically born in January, February, March, early in the year, and how they have access to better training. He also provides some astonishing and fascinating facts of the fact that 14 of the 75 richest people in the history of the world were born in a single country, the US, and in a specific decade. That was 1831 to 1840. So again, where the most opportunity, etc., is. Okay, it also gets you to look at a list of the 75 richest people in human history. Going, right back to Nicholas II of Russia, Cleopatra, etc., etc., and then brings up the point of the phenomenon of the list of Americans and their birth years. And what strikes you there is they were certainly around when the American colony went through perhaps the greatest transformation in history. So he's able to pull out these interesting facts. Also talks about Bill Gates and Paul Allen and their birth dates, as well as Steve Ballmer and I think Steve Jobs as well. But he's able to show that they were in a unique time as well. I think one thing the book does allow you, the reader, to feel is better why you haven't made it as a great success. But I think one of the things he puts a great emphasis in is that these people were given the opportunity to get like their 10,000 hours of expertise and gain mastery. I think that's quite simplistic. I think he kind of goes too far in that, and that is generally correct, but he doesn't consider the fact that what makes us apply ourselves to that extent. Not everyone, even born in a advantageous place or time, will actually apply themselves, be motivated to apply themselves. So I think he takes away perhaps a little bit too much from the individual. I didn't find Malcolm particularly persuasive when he turns his attention to people of certain ethnic groups, and he's perhaps for me was less persuasive, but nonetheless he makes a fairly good point, and there's some learnings from that, but it's on less shaky ground, or I should say more shaky ground, than talking about the time, place, and resources available to an individual. Barring the fact that talent plays a role, he doesn't really give talent that much acknowledgement. All in all, though, I couldn't put this book down. It's just one of those. He talks about Korean air crashes. It's really a great, easy read. If you haven't read it, pick it up. You're going to learn. You're going to take away, one or two, maybe three things away from this book. And I'm a great believer in, when we look at a year in review, there's probably three things that change our lives. One of these are the people we meet, and the other is the books we read. I now forget the third one. I highly recommend this book. I would say go for it. It's worthwhile read. It's probably pretty cheap on the shelves by now. And do yourself a favour. Buy all three. Buy Blink and The Tipping Point. These are books worthwhile to have on your bookshelf.